What's up, guys? Today is Saturday, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be receiving some corals, the very first corals to enter Corals Unlimited. So as soon as this gentleman shows up, we will add them to the system and get them dipped up and make sure there's no pests or anything like that on them. At least do the best that we can with that. Our due diligence. We also recommend that the people that are going to be shopping with us, that they dip their corals as well. And actually, if you want to learn about my dipping process, it's pretty extensive. There'll be a link to that video in the description below if you want to check that out. But as soon as this guy shows up with our corals, we'll throw out the camera on the tripod to see what we got. Alright, so we are dipping the corals currently. We're going to let them sit in here for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then we'll take them out, we'll rinse them in some clean salt water, and then place them into the frag system. And we're going to do this for all the corals that we have. I don't know exactly what the count is. I'm going to say probably to the tune of like 100 corals. But we're going to dip them all for about 10-15 minutes and then put them into the system. And I'll probably we'll move them over to that system over there. Just a little bit more flow in there. I might keep some in here, maybe like the lower flow stuff for the time being, but I need to raise this rack up still like I did on the other one for the time being. I do have these frag racks that are from my show frag tank. I don't know if I got this shot or not, but we'll probably put some of the plugs into that so we can transfer them pretty easily over to the other tank, because that tank has a little bit more flow than this tank does. So when I grab corals out of the bucket, I'm going to grab them with my left hand, transfer them to my right. I'll dip them in the clean salt water, which we have right there, then place them into the frag tank. The idea is to avoid introducing dip to the system, but if you dip your corals, there will be a buildup of dip in your system over time. As you can see, we got a bunch of corals building up over here. We still have some over there. I used one of the frag racks to kind of keep the standpipe from getting clogged up. I was more concerned about the bag stuff than I was these guys, but we got these lights kicking on. They're going to be ramping up. These little containers are going to get warm pretty quick. So what we'll probably do next is, after we get these guys cleared out, is we'll do the bag stuff, because most of the specimen cups have lids facing up, and I'll give it a little bit of shade so it's not directly under the light. So grab with the left, transfer to the right, rinse, place in the tank. Nice Recordia. Pattern.
Nice red necklace there. Green body, red polyps. Oh, it looks like Christmas. The thing about these lampions is you never know what you got going on until they start opening up. Alright, one more to go. We got Pavona. Plum Pavona. One of my most favorite SBS corals. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a pretty small frag for them. Alright, so that was our first bucket. Now, what I'm going to do in this next bucket is grab the bag stuff and then all of the cups that are floating upside down because I don't want them to get too hot under these lights. I'm going to rinse my hands off real quick. We're going to change out our water and then repeat the entire process for all the corals.
Alright, so we got a mushroom that came off. But what we're going to do is, one, we're going to save that plug, because if there's any little bit of that foot from that mushroom on that plug, it will regrow. And then we need to set this guy up so that he can reattach himself. So we're going to do something a little special with him. So I'm probably going to put him into the other system, just so, or the other tank, just to keep him separate, so I know that I need to do something different with that guy. But he's just floating around in there, and we're going to keep that plug just because there's a little bit of that foot on there still. That'll grow back. We've been working on getting these corals in the tank, and it took us about 2 hours to dip them all. I only used a 5-gallon bucket. I actually have a method that I've used at the house before when I was doing corals through Mr. Reef box, and I probably will start using that going forward, because that's a long time to be adding corals to the tank. It would be much better if I had like a certain amount of water pre-mixed. The tub that I used at home, which I'd buy a new one because that one's been kind of kicking around in the garage, so probably we'll do that in the future just to get these in the tank a little bit faster. But as far as everything looks right now, it's looking pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell. Cameras have a hard time with the coloration. This one's doing all right, but so we got this Lobo right here. We got a couple trachees. These are some Rhodactis there. We got some Duncans, some Accordias, some candy canes, and we also got some Alveopora, which is some of my favorites, zoanthids, some stylos. We got a whole bunch. Now look at that. I got a lot more room. Oh, almost forgot about these guys too. We got some sun corals showing under the rack over here. Sun corals and Alveopora, notorious for not shipping well. The Alveopora actually was looking pretty good until I threw them in the dip, and then they were kind of upset about that. But you can kind of see that they're opening up a little bit. Sun corals seem to be doing okay. I've literally seen them go into the dip and just shed their skin, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, it looks like everything is doing pretty good, but we have a lot more space, so we're gonna have to do some more orders here. The amount of money that I put into this didn't go quite as far as I thought it would. So we got one order with the company that wasn't able to get us a delivery for Friday, which that will be coming Tuesday. I can add to that order, and I'm probably going to work on another order with eye-catching coral. Great corals, looked really healthy. The only thing that I pulled off from, which was the Lobo, which is unusual, but the type of pest that it was makes sense. Typically Lobos don't have pests, at least that's been my experience. But there was a little Esterina starfish on there. Those guys are a pain in the butt if they get in your system, and they tend to overpopulate, and then you got to get yourself a Harlequin and make sure that he's fed after, or maybe you know somebody that has a Harlequin, but yeah, that's a whole deal. But we pulled a couple of those off the Lobo, 2 to be exact, and that was really it for as far as pests. So pretty happy with that. Feels pretty good to have some corals in the shop, even though that it was a very small, modest order. It's good to see that they're doing well, and you know the shipping was pretty
pretty flawless as far as getting them in here, and they're nice and healthy looking. Those Alveopora, they typically take a couple days to kind of get over shipping. At least that's been my experience. I think it's about 5 days I've seen them kind of just clam up, and then eventually all of a sudden they're just pushing out their tentacles and all happy and ready to go. But guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified every time that we share a daily video here with you guys about this little project that I've been working on. That's going to do it for today. I'll see you tomorrow right here for One Take Sunday. Peace.